Hello, everybody. Welcome to Outwitting the Manipulator with Dr. Dennis Becker and me, Robin Galinsky. We talked last time about attention as a premium or prized resource. We're going to flip it today and talk about intention instead of attention. Both being clear on what your intentions are as a target of manipulation and what the intentions are of the manipulator, which are often misconstrued, which is what they bank on. So we just have a topic and then we're going to just explore it as we usually do. I just want to remind you that if you haven't liked us or reviewed us, this is really important. I never say it or remind you, and you have no ads with us, but we really do need you to do that. We have many, many followers growing organically. And it is important that you give us the follows, the likes, and the reviews, especially on Apple and Spotify. And with that, welcome, Dennis.
Thank you very much. My intention is to be erudite and polite and helpful.
Well, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Okay, there's a good start.
And there we have it. Dennis is all rainbows and sunshine, and I always expose the flip side, the dark side. And that probably won't change. It's just why we bring you yin and yang in our podcast. So, intention, an interesting concept because actually that saying didn't come from nowhere. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. The reason is what you are intending may
Did you
not.
say the road to where? The road to where?
HE double hockey sticks.
Oh
Hell.
no, 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 no. The road to heaven.
Oh, Lord.
Figure it out.
You're making me put my chapstick on.
The road to heaven is paved with good intentions. You
Mm.
say you're going to do stuff, and then you don't do it. So
No, 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 no. So the reason why I think that phrase came about is that what we think are good intentions
yeah.
end up having the opposite effect, the opposite result.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah.
example, should I give you an example?
Go ahead.
There are so many. As a target of manipulation, one of my intentions that they bank on, that the manipulator banks on, is my intention to have harmony, my intention to avoid conflict. Now, that, Dennis, you might say is a very good intention. Isn't that lovely? A person who doesn't want to have any conflict, doesn't want to have any disharmony in a relationship or in a conversation. However, that road will lead you straight to hell with a manipulator. And I mean fast, because they bank on your compliance and your agreement. And if your intention is to never have conflict or never have disagreement, you're putty in their hands. So I'll pause there.
I'm sure you won't pause for long, but let me sneak something in very quickly. Uh, I want
Hurry
to
up, hurry
I want
up.
to talk about this from the perspective of the manipulator. Now, I'm going to talk with you today from the experience I've had with manipulators, those who I have coached and who have confided in me, and about whom we've studied and researched and so forth. So I want to speak from the perspective of a manipulator. The manipulator's intention is only one thing. Now
Always.
we've said it before, but I hate to reduce it to just this one thing for you,
But it's the
but it's the
fact.
way it is. The manipulators I know and have coached have one intention. Okay, maybe two we can squeeze a little bit, but it's all basically the same. The first word in their intention is control. Now, the second word maybe changes a little bit. Controlling you, controlling the situation,
Controlling your emotions, controlling
controlling.
your actions, controlling
I
your thoughts,
see. I don't even need
controlling
to
your
say. I don't
finances.
even need to say them. Robin will fill them in for me. Thank you very much, Robin.
Well, I am the target. I have been the target, so.
But I'm speaking from the perspective of the manipulator now because
Mhm.
he or she has only this one, really one intention, and it's control. You fill in the second word, but it's control. So their tactics are intended to accomplish and to fulfill their intention. And we'll talk about you in a moment, the target. But that's what they think about. That's what they plan. And sometimes that plan is days, weeks, could be months ahead that they think about what they will do at the Christmas party or whatever it is, at the birthday party. They think about it. And then the closer the event gets, the more they plan for it and how they will actually implement it. Everything from the language, the words, the facial expression, the body language, the positioning. I mean, I could go on and on. You get the point. Their intention is to control by any and all mechanisms that they possibly can control you fill in the blank. I'm going to just stick with you and your emotions right now. So as we're talking about intention today, Robin's going to be talking about the intention of the target, you perhaps, and we'll talk about how that compares with and how you can counter the intentions that I've just stated for the manipulator. Go ahead, Robin.
So we got to do an inventory, a deep dive analysis on your intentions. For example, in a love relationship, your intention may be to have your partner love you more, have your partner be loyal to you, have your partner um, respect you, value you. Those could be your intentions. And it always starts with an intention. What is an intention? An intention is a thought, a thought that directs our actions and our behaviors. Oftentimes, we don't do a real analysis on what is my real intention here. So that could be your intention in a love relationship, in a professional relationship. It could be my intention is to have have my boss or my direct report respect me, have them. I would like them to value me. It's a different kind of valuing. Oops, so sorry. Sorry, I forgot I was in Do Not Disturb. I don't know what happened.
Well, your
Um,
intention was good anyway.
um, so yes, and let me make sure that's in Do Not Disturb.
See what I mean? Intentions are not always controlled by what
It
you
is in Do
plan.
Not Disturb. Okay.
You may be disturbed in your intention by other things like Robin is right now. But go ahead, Robin.
Yes. So I could have the intention that let's go with the like I want my boss to like and respect me. That's my intention. And then I in my mind have the idea of what the behaviors and actions I need to take to make that happen.
Hmm.
However, and all of that may work out well if my boss is a normal human being. However, if my boss falls into the basket of what we call a manipulator, this is a person who does not know how to not manipulate.
Hmm.
This is your psychopaths, your sociopaths, your cluster Bs, your narcissistic personality disorder, blah,
Hmm.
blah, 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 blah. They're all in one basket we call manipulator. That is not going to work. So my idea of the behaviors and the actions, and we can all think of what normal behaviors and actions to get like and respect from my boss would be, aren't going to work with a manipulator. And I will hit it back over the net to you, Dennis, and ask you now, why would that be? So give me an
Well,
example of an action or a behavior and why that would backfire.
well, first of all, let me point out that for those of you who are listeners or who have family relationships or knowledge of friends who are in that basket, please let me remind you that psychopaths, sociopaths, cluster B, all of what Robin said, every one of those people uses manipulation. That may not be the key thing that they do in life. Like your manipulator may not be any of those crazy things, but he or she nonetheless uses manipulation all the time. So there's manipulation plus plus plus, as Robin said in that basket. What we're only concerned with is the manipulative part of that. All right.
So pick
So
up that thread before they lose
okay.
it. Is your
Yes. Okay. All right. So Robin's intention as a good employee is to say it again, Robin. Remind them.
My intention is to be liked and respected by my
Yes.
boss. So,
Right.
what is an example of an action or behavior, Dennis, that I might do to
Mhm.
get like and respect? Let's
Well,
pick one. Pick like or respect, because sometimes those are mutually exclusive.
okay. That you might do. Okay. One of the things you might do from a professional standpoint is to offer to finish a particular project before it's the due time. Another
Okay.
simple one, another simple one, which obviously sounds a little bit more obvious, is to offer to get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea for your boss.
Okay, take either one of those.
Yeah.
Now let's put that in the perspective of
Mm-hmm.
how a manipulator perceives that,
Mm-hmm.
because this is the disconnect. We're trying to get granular with you here.
Mm-hmm.
So, a normal person that you offered to get something done early, work overtime, or go get them a cup of coffee, right? A normal person would be grateful for that and say, well,
Mm-hmm.
isn't that nice? Thank you very much. And the manipulator may still say that.
Mm-hmm.
But how is the manipulator perceiving that? This is what you need to understand. You need to
Mm-hmm.
understand and accept the
Mm-hmm.
reality of their mindset in order
Mm-hmm.
for you to outwit it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Dennis, do you want to answer that or
Yeah.
do you want me
Yeah.
to?
Now, the beginning of all of that is that that manipulator sees your volunteering to do that, let's call it, you're volunteering to do that, as already a sense of control, as already a sense of submissiveness, as
Wanting approval.
already as someone who wants to do other things so that she is liked or she's
Yes.
approved of or her
It's a
behavior is approved
data.
of. This is a data point for that manipulator. Now, your Robin's intention is not that. It's not
Mm-mm.
that. But a manipulator will see the behavior itself and take it to the level of where they want to go, which is a little bit more akin to a desire to be likable or submissive. That's where the manipulator is going to see that.
Well, and if you go back to past podcasts, which you should listen to these in somewhat order if you haven't, if you're jumping in now, we talk about how they're always testing. So if I
Mhm.
am a manipulator and Dennis says, "Hey, can I go get you a cup of coffee?" Or I'd like to go buy you a coffee. I may test him further to see how much he wants me to like him by saying,
Mhm.
oh, that would be great. Actually, could you give me a double frappuccino with just a hint of cream and
Mhm.
half a stevia? So I may complicate the order.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Dennis, would you also just pick me up a scone? Make sure it's not blueberry. I prefer the raspberry
Mhm.
scone. Could you do
Mhm.
that too? I'm starving. Now
Mhm.
that is most people would perceive that as somewhat manipulative, but with a manipulator, it is a test.
That's
How
it.
eager are you
Yeah.
to please me, Dennis?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
willingly? Now, what am I watching for? I'm watching for your nonverbal communication. Do you wince?
Mhm.
Do you roll your eyes? Do you rebut? Like, do you say, actually, all I can do is get you a cup of coffee. I don't have time to wait for a specialty drink. Now, that's what you should say, even if you do have time to wait. Because with a manipulator, it's always, always about you need to have boundaries
Mhm.
and get,
Okay, so let me stop you there for a second because you're speaking about the response, the reaction of the target. Let me talk about that from the manipulator standpoint, for instance. If I give you all of that detail in addition to your offer to get me a cup of coffee, and I give you all of this other detail that you just described, if I give that, yes, A, I'm looking for, are you willing to submit to all the other things that I've asked rather than what you just offered?
yes, you're
That
looking
says
for
to me, now
compliance.
that says to me how much more for a future time I
Yes,
can put on you. And
that's
it
right.
doesn't always have to be for work, it may be something else. But your behavior in that moment tells me that you are able to be, there's a word, manipulated into the additional work that you did not offer to do, and I'm going to control you in doing that.
You just
This
switched
is this is the
examples. We
this
were
is the
talking about
mind
coffee.
this is the mind of a manipulator. So the coffee, okay, fine. I,
No, but I wanted to use the other example as well, but you just switched, and I thought we were talking about the coffee. So,
but what I'm getting at, Robin, is that in the mind of the manipulator, when you offered to have coffee, I saw as an opportunity to manipulate you and to test you, to see, not, yes, maybe for this moment, but also to give me information about how I can manipulate you further, deeper in other things. For example, you're talking to me now about a cup of coffee and a scone or whatever, but I'm listening as a manipulator. I'm listening because can I use that somewhere else when it's not just a tangible thing, but it's an
right.
emotion, it's a feeling.
Yes.
So I'm
It's
measuring it.
always testing and
I'm
assessing.
testing everything, even the littlest thing about the addition of a stevia.
Well,
I'm
oh, sorry.
listening.
Yes, I agree with you. It's like, I might be watching you saying, oh, maybe you're saying, oh, yeah, oh, okay, okay. And then I add, and half a stevia, right?
How
Because
far
it's
can I
not just,
go? How
yeah,
far can I
because
go?
it's more complicated. Half a stevia, not a full stevia, because I want to see, will she break? No, she just keeps nodding and saying yes.
Mhm,
Great, great. I know this. This person is
mhm,
going to be do whatever I
mhm,
want them to do. Now go back to that example that you jumped into about the workload. You know, eager to I want to win the respect of my boss by finishing my project early. So I run into my boss's office and say, just want you to know I completely finished the slides for the presentation today, Thursday. So that leaves we're not under the gun on Friday to get it done before the weekend. It's already done. I wanted to give you that peace of mind. My boss might say, "Oh, if he's a manipulator, he or she may say, "Oh, wow, didn't expect that." Well, okay. Well, if you've got extra time on your hands, then I'd like you to do A, B, and C tomorrow as well, seeing as you have that extra time in your hands.
mhm,
So, this is how, also for you, how you can start to identify whether this person is a manipulator or not.
mhm,
Because a manipulator is a taker. They're always taking more and more and
mhm,
more.
mhm,
And you can tell by you have to pay really close attention though. You can't be distracted. You need to be looking at the tone, the
mhm,
language choice,
mhm,
their facial expressions, their micro expressions.
mhm. Let me give you a little different example. Uh, let's see if you can hear the similarities between these two things that one we're just talking about, and here's another one. I do have a client who's a female manipulator, and we got talking one time about an example that she gave me that uh, she needed a ride to the airport. Okay, and so was visiting with relatives, and she asked her daughter-in-law, who was her target, her daughter-in-law, "Hey, can you give me a ride to the airport?" Just a simple question like that. And normally, the persons would say, "Yeah, sure, what time?" And all, and we make arrangements. However, my client, the manipulator, had more intention than that. She wanted not only a yes or no, but she was looking for, as we just said, she was looking for how far can I go? How much can I manipulate her for future? So she said, "Hey, can you give me a lift to the airport?" The answer was yes. Manipulator said, "Oh, that's great. Thanks a lot. Oh, and by the way, before we set off that to the airport, can we just stop a quick stop at Dunkin' Donuts? I want to get a coffee and a donut to take on the plane." Okay, so there's an additional thing that now the target has to answer for yes or no. All right, so this, so she said, "Yeah, sure, I guess that's okay. Oh, and by the way, uh, I have to drop off this pair of shoes for your cousin as we're going to go right by your house anyway, so we'll just drop it. Okay, there's a third thing. How far can my manipulator client push this? Every time the target, her daughter-in-law, says yes, even if she says it like that, well, yes, but she said yes, even if she's hesitating, as Robin said. The manipulator is looking and listening for the tone, the words, the facial expression that the agreement was accompanied by. So I'm telling you, intention runs deep with a manipulator. It's not just one thing. And they're gathering information about the thing, the ride to the airport, but that information also carries over to the next time, not just this day, but another time, a week, a month, because the manipulator has just learned that she can push. And if she's
Well,
the right tone, she can get her way.
typically a manipulator would ask you for the ride to the airport. You'd say yes, and they wouldn't tell you those other things until they
That's
had you
right.
captive in the car.
That's right.
And they would reveal them once they have you captive
Yeah.
because it makes it much, much more difficult for you to say no.
Yeah.
And this is why then we go flip back to what is the intention of the target. If your
Hmm.
intention is harmony,
Hmm.
peace, you're
Hmm.
going to be compliant
Agreeable.
and you're not going to get the respect from that manipulator. You're going to get more manipulation. You're going to
E-
get contempt from that manipulator.
even if it's uncomfortable for you, if it's out of the way for you, you don't have the time to do it. Your intention or your lack of intention to be strong and your skill to be strong is going to be assigned to that manipulator.
So that circles back to what you're saying, the person, the target, the intention that's going to benefit you, like Dennis used the word strong, is to be strong and set a boundary
Hmm.
and say, did not eat. And I tell my coaching, the people who are being manipulated that I'm coaching, I tell them to set that boundary, even if they can be
Hmm.
compliant, even if it's
Hmm.
convenient,
Yeah.
because you cannot give them that wiggle room because it is an exponential demand that's coming your
Hmm.
way.
Hmm.
So once we're in the car and they wait until we're in the car and we're driving, oh, hey, will you just pull in that drive through right there and let me? I'm sorry, I did not make
Hmm.
extra time to do that, and I keep driving
Hmm.
by. And I say, I'm sure there's a Dunkin' at the airport.
Hmm.
Are they going to be unhappy? Yes. Are they going to get snarky? Yes. They may even be personal attack you. Like,
Insulting.
wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
aren't we uptight? Oh,
Yep.
you're so busy. You can't
Hmm.
even stop at a Dunkin' Donuts.
Hmm.
Wow,
Yeah.
must be
Yeah.
nice to be so busy
Yeah.
and important. You get
Yep.
all that. That's the escalation, right? So
That's
it could
right.
be something little like a harumph or a
Yep.
sigh or a okay,
Oh,
or it
well.
could escalate into a
Yeah.
personal attack.
Yep.
No
Yep.
matter what, it doesn't matter. What you have
Hmm.
to remember is what your intention is. If your intention is to be strong and in control of yourself and not compliant, because remember what happens when you're compliant, it is an erosion of yourself. You feel like you're betraying yourself, doing things you didn't want to do,
Hmm.
getting manipulated into doing something that you didn't feel like doing. You've got to try it in these moments and hold, just think, I'm just holding. And
Hmm.
then they try it again and say, you know what? Okay, I'm sorry. I know you didn't want to go to Dunkin' Donuts, but we've got to stop at Carol's house. I've got to drop these shoes off. We're going right by there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, I plan on taking you to the airport and nothing more. And that's what I'm doing.
Hmm.
If you wanted to stop at Carol's house, that's something you should have disclosed to me before we got into the car. Now, I can tell you firsthand experience because those of you who've read the book or heard my examples, I have an extremely manipulative mother who does this kind of thing all the time. And I can tell you that holding firm when that's happening doesn't make me feel great either. It's almost like they put you between a rock and a hard place, right?
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
you betray yourself and you cave and then you
Hmm.
you suffer in that way, Or you hold your own and you feel like you're being mean because you're
Hmm.
being firm.
Hmm.
It's almost like you can't win. But I will tell you, I've done both, and it's very important that you exercise that muscle of being able to hold. It's easier to give in and be compliant. It's much, much harder to hold a boundary.
And we've used the word before several times in several examples that's has got to be at the front of your mind as this is happening. And the word is courage.
Oh,
You
yes.
must have the
You you
courage
got to
to.
dig deep.
It's not easy. We know it's not easy. All these things that we're talking about on all these podcasts about manipulation, we know they're not easy. We know
And
it.
I'm going to give a shameless plug because we deserve it. We never plug ourselves. The coaching that you get from us
Yeah,
is exercising that muscle.
yeah.
So if you feel like your knees get weak, your stomach flips over, your hands shake,
Hmm.
your voice shakes, you get so nervous, you get so flustered, you can't think of how to respond or what to do.
Hmm.
Your real life practice with us as coaches will
Hmm.
strengthen that so much.
Hmm.
And I can tell you, I've experienced this. It will strengthen
Yeah.
you so much, they don't even attempt it. They pick
Mhm.
up from you,
Yep.
from your
That's right.
vibration, from
That's
your
right.
energy. They pick up on that
That's
confidence.
right. Yep.
And typically, they won't even try it again. And it's
Yep.
so disappointing for my clients because they go, I was so ready to just hold my ground and say my piece. And then they didn't even do it. They didn't
Yeah.
do it because they felt emanate, because
That's right. And
they're like animals. They can
that's
sense it.
that's exactly the way my clients, the manipulators I'm talking about, that's exactly what they say to me too, Robin. I'll say, well, how did it work? What happened? I don't know. I backed off. I just sensed that or I felt that I had the feeling, they got the emotion, they got the sense of it, they got the energy of it. But that's because you had the courage to use it, and
And
they
it
will
comes through
pick it up.
body language, facial expressions, but I always, not to sound woo woo, but it is an energy.
Yeah.
And it's a convicted, courageous energy that emanates from you.
Yeah.
And just as an example, I have never been molested or sexually assaulted. I mean, and I don't know another female in my life who that isn't true for. So I only can imagine that that energy made me less of a target
Hmm.
because I was unafraid to confront. So
Hmm.
much so that I've had to pull back on that because it doesn't serve you to be confrontational with
Hmm.
everyone all the time. In fact, my
Hmm.
stand-up comedy is is that alter ego, where I let that out because I want to challenge everything. So I've learned
Well,
to nuance it in my later years. But I really believe that this is an important energy to have,
mhm.
especially as a female, is
Yeah.
that you are not going to suffer the fools.
I'll make one quick comment about this before we close here. And I did have one client whose name shall be held now because she is famous, who was very strong as a person and became the victim of a manipulator and became the victim of another manipulator and the victim of a third manipulator 3 times. 3 times.
She was looking for love in all the wrong places.
All the wrong places is right. And we'll talk about it more. We'll dedicate an episode to this. But here's what I want to say. As strong as she was as an individual, it devastated her to not be able to stand up to her manipulator as she wanted to be and could have been, but she didn't do it. So it took a long time for her to get back her own self confidence, her own sense of self. And when I met her, we'll talk about that at another time. But I'm telling you, it is not easy. So don't expect that it's just going to happen because we know how to tell you how to do it. And when you coach with us, we'll tell you the words, we'll tell you the facial expression, all of it. But it can be done and you can help yourself. So don't be that victim.
So it makes me think that what I just mentioned may sound incongruent because it's like, how could I have been the target of manipulation by my
Mm,
mother? Well, that's easier to understand because I was a child, a dependent child. But
mm,
then to go into a marriage where I was completely manipulated for 2 decades,
mhm.
that you can be a very strong person and still be manipulated. So we can talk more about that in another episode. How does that, because it doesn't seem possible,
Mm, hmm
but it is possible because we all have vulnerabilities. And a
Yeah.
sophisticated manipulator gets you at the right time in your life and they prey upon the vulnerabilities that we all have.
hmm
But depending, it can be a contextual vulnerability, like I'm sick, or I just lost my job, or I'm depressed, or it could just be a general vulnerability, like I'm female, or I'm young, or whatever it is. But they,
And your manipulator sees all of them.
yes,
They
they
know
prey
each of
upon
them.
that.
They
Yep.
know perhaps better than you do yourself. And so you have to be very strong, very careful about your level of
And
compliance.
you
And this is why we're here. We've
and
talked to
you
you
have to
about so
know
many
where you're
different
vulnerable too.
we've talked about your vulnerability, your access to there's a lot of things that we've shared with you. And we're urging you to please take the confidence that you can save yourself. Your intentions have to be set. You have to be the intention of wanting to be, strong, whatever they are. But I'm telling you, the manipulator's intention will never change. So you
Right.
have got to meet them where it is. That's why we're here. What language, what words, what facial expression, timing, all of that is what we're here to help you with because their manipulators' intentions are defined. It's you, it's your emotion, it's whatever, and those that second word, controlling whatever it is. So stay with us. We're going to be continue talking about this. And Robin, you want to make any final comments about this before we have to lock up? The old clock on the wall says we got to do it. So what do you think?
I think that the listeners should reflect on what their true intention is
Hmm
with their situation, get underneath it and try
hmm
to avoid at all costs the intention to be liked, because
hmm
that one thing won't that's the road to hell right there. If you want to be liked by everyone, you're going to be manipulated, and you
Yeah,
won't be liked either.
yeah,
It won't happen. Trust me,
yeah.
because a person who's trying to be liked, people don't have respect for that.
Well, let's leave the hope that we can help you with that. How to be liked, how to be likable. We can help you with that. But
No,
remember the
you're
different
saying the opposite, Dennis.
I know I'm saying the opposite
You
because you
always do that.
you but Robin, there are some people who intend in their life to be likable.
I'm not talking about not being likable, like as an intention to not be likable. I'm talking about the intention that I want to be liked by everyone
Yeah.
is going to hurt you.
Unless,
No, there's no one less. You're
yes,
never going to be liked by everyone unless you're
well,
bending
everyone.
and compromising
Yeah,
and
that's true.
morphing yourself to
Yeah.
make them happy.
Yes,
And
not
that
everyone,
is no
obviously.
bueno.
Obviously, we're focused on those manipulators in your life, and you've got to identify them by ways we've talked about many times before. So you're not going to be liked by everyone. Yes, of course, Robin is correct about that.
I don't
Not
want to be
everyone.
liked by manipulator, but people want to manipulate
No,
me. I'm
no, that's
fine
right.
with them not liking me.
Yeah. So let's help you.
Hasta la vista.
Let's help you identify how to know who that manipulator is. But remember, whoever it is, wherever you meet them, there and pay attention. That's how we started. Pay attention to that. But your intention, and remember, their intention is not going to change. They want to control you. Your intention has got to be strong to prevent that and do some of the things that we've been talking about that will help you with all of that. Okay. We done, Robin?
I am, and
Okay.
I still like you, even
All right.
though, even though I had to correct you.
Well, I was going through the mind of a manipulator today. I wasn't necessarily going through Dr. Becker's mind, but that's how it works. So, clock on the wall says we got to go. Other folks are coming in behind us, so here we go. So, be with us again next time, and listen. Sign up for the workshops. That you know how to reach us. We're here to help you all the time.
Outwitinrealtime.com,
There it
and
is.
you can go to manipulator.help. That's it. No .com. Manipulator.help will take you right to the workshop.